with the unveiling of Beyonce's custom 3.94 lab-grown carat ring, resembling a horse in tribute for her Cowboy Carter album. It seems as if there's been a growth in favorability towards lab-grown diamonds. Other celebrities have also incorporated lab-grown diamonds into their rings, such as Jessica Alba, Mindy Kaling, and Meghan Markle. And according to Morgan Stanley, it's estimated that the share for lab-grown diamonds will increase to 18%, with a further rise projecting to be 21.3% next year. But how has public perception changed over a practice that was once shunned by traditionalists? Well, you're in the right place because we're about to answer those questions and so much more. Also, welcome if you are new here. My name is Malaya, and here's a video all about diamonds. You're probably well aware of the fact that sourcing diamonds isn't exactly the most ethical practice out there. Personally, I've actually discovered much of my knowledge about the diamond industry by the movie Blood Diamond, which came out in 2006. Shout out to my high school teacher for showing me such a gem. Formed more than 3 billion years ago, under extreme heat and pressure, it is composed of billions of carbon atoms. We've mainly sourced natural diamonds through various mining processes, which include open pit mining, underground mining, alluvial mining, and marine mining. Of course, over technological advancement throughout history, we've been able to produce different types of cuts that we're familiar with today. But diamonds were first discovered in India, as the earliest mention of it was by a minister in a northern Indian dynasty. Found in a Sanskrit transcript dating back from around 320 to 296 BCE, it was highly valued within the Roman elites, and India had become the only known source of diamonds and were traded among ancient routes such as the Silk Road. And India would become really the only benefactor for these rare commodities, and it was around 4 BCE that it started popping up in places such as Greece and parts of Europe. And once the royals got their hands on it, they were sure to keep it all for themselves. By royal decree, Louis IX of France established a law stating that diamonds only be reserved for royalty in the 13th century. Naturally, over time, there were more diamond hubs that were found, such as in places like Brazil, but perhaps the most significant was the huge diamond mines that were discovered near the Orange River in South Africa by British financiers. And who would have guessed what happened next? Can anybody guess? Yes, you. Well, with the funding from Rothschild, Cecil Rhodes actually created De Beers Consolidated Mines, a diamond and mining company that would profit off of the backs of South Africans, along with their family members, including children, who were pretty much informally employed and exploited. Yep, you got it right. Hit the nail right on the head. Now, despite the atrocities that have happened, people still bought into the idea of diamond rings for their engagements, and the diamond industry was able to do that all thanks to marketing. Around the early 20th century, the act of actually giving your intended an engagement ring was slowly building, although the diamonds that were being used were small and low quality and averaged about $80 a piece. This namely had to do with the fact that there was the Great Depression happening within the 1930s, and so the value of diamonds had pretty much gone down. And so in order to make sure their investments weren't going to waste, the De Beers company went ahead and enlisted the help of a New York-based ad agency, N.W. Ayer, to essentially help them market diamonds and to romanticize them. So in surveys studying consumer attitudes, Ayers actually found that a lot of women simply didn't value diamond rings as much as they thought they would, namely because they thought that it was a luxury afforded only to the uber wealthy, and instead they actually just wanted a new washing machine or even a new car. Though against all odds, they were still still set on creating a situation in which every single person with the intent to marry just felt absolutely compelled to purchase a diamond engagement ring. And what they were able to pull off was really a masterclass in branding, as they made diamonds seem as if it was an absolute psychological necessity. It was really their goal to persuade a generation of young men to buy into the idea that these diamonds equated to romance, and that the measure of your love correlated to the size and quality of the diamond. And not only did the men have to be influenced, but so did the women. They too also had to buy into the idea that it was required for them to receive a diamond engagement ring when it came to their courtship. Ayer had begun their endeavor in pursuing this goal in 1946, which would pretty much span decades. In their strategy, they outlined different tactics such as planting stories and images into certain newspapers and magazines, linking the idea of diamonds and romance, all the while having famous women and socialites model these rocks as well. They even took it a step further by having some sort of subtle program where lecturers would go ahead and visit different schools across the country, planting seeds inside the minds of these young girls that it was absolutely crucial for them to attain a diamond engagement ring, using famous artists such as Picasso, Derain, and Dali as part of their ads also added to the allure. And the agency was quoted by saying, "We spread the word of diamonds worn by stars of screen and stage, by wives and daughters of political leaders, by any woman who can make the grocer's wife and the mechanic's sweetheart say, 'I wish I had what she has.'" And famously, their copywriter, Frances Goretti, was also famously credited for creating the slogan, "A diamond is forever." She had created the signature line for a new campaign with 4 simple, sweet words, and public perception slowly but surely changed. And the line had appeared in every single De Beers ad since 1948 until they closed their doors. And according to The Atlantic, from 1939 to 1979, De Beers wholesale diamond sales in the United States increased from 23 million to 2.1 billion. Over those 4 decades, the company's ad budget soared from $200,000 to $10 million a year. And their plan was just not limited to the United States alone, as they wanted to conquer globally. In 1960s Japan, where arranged marriages were pretty common and there wasn't too much of a hint of romance in their courtship, the campaign suggested that the diamond engagement ring was a symbol for modern Western values. And once this idea started taking mold, diamonds had become a staple in Japan, with less than 5% of Japanese women receiving a diamond engagement ring in 1967. By 1981, up to 60% of Japanese women had diamond rings. And with the introduction of lab-grown diamonds, the big diamond industry wasn't too happy of their arrival, and many individuals were quick to delegitimize the practice. The advent of lab-grown diamond rings suddenly presented a way to produce these precious stones at a much quicker rate. In fact, it can take 3 to 5 days to produce a 1-carat lab-grown diamond ring. Making these synthetic diamonds was actually discovered by General Electric scientists Herbert Strong and Tracy Hall in the 1950s under codename Project Superpressure. Mimicking the conditions that natural diamonds are subjected to underground, initially these diamonds weren't at the quality that could compete with their natural counterparts. They were typically yellow in hue with many inclusions, and the process was used industrially for cutting, grinding, and polishing a range of materials. But it was really in the 1970s, after much fine-tuning, that we started to see these gem-quality lab-grown diamond rings that had started to be produced. And the creation of lab-grown diamonds can be broken down one of 2 ways. The first one being a high-pressure, high-temperature, known as HPHT, or chemical vapor deposition, known as CVD. Hall's and Strong's method used high pressure and high temperatures, where a diamond seed, you can essentially think of as a small sliver of a diamond, is placed in pure carbon until a diamond forms around the original seed. But it was really in the 1980s when the CVD method came out. This method involved a diamond seed, but instead it was sealed inside of a chamber where it's vaporized with a carbon-rich gas. And atom by atom, a diamond then begins to take hold. And it is argued that the CVD method is the far superior option, as it can generate much more higher quality diamonds. And as the dawn of the 21st century came, there were more lab-grown diamond startups, as many of these newcomers saw the potential for a new future within this industry. And in the 2010s, the Diamond Foundry was also born, becoming one of the largest companies for lab-grown diamonds. Leonardo DiCaprio, who had also started in Blood Diamond, had also become an investor for this company in 2016. And similarly, with the coming of Vray, an LA-based sustainable jewelry brand that also specializes in lab-grown diamonds, the actor had also backed up this company and was also seen shopping there. Though there was this new lab craze going around, many people were swift to discredit the validity and authenticity of these diamonds. Still, there was an upswing in lab-grown diamond interest, as many people had started prioritizing the ethical traces as well as affordability. According to this Google Trends interest chart, over time, there's been an upward trajectory over lab-grown, as it's been steadily rising for quite some time. And environmentally speaking, lab-grown diamonds are a bit better overall. When it comes to the mining of these natural diamonds, it can be extremely dangerous for the workers in these mines, as it can lead either to an injury or oftentimes maybe even a death. And very specifically boasts that their diamonds are completely conflict-free with no displacements on land, wildlife, animals, or groundwater. Though they are also completely transparent when it comes to being honest about the fact that the process isn't 100% environmentally friendly. Many of the producers actually rely on coal to power these foundries, leaving behind a major carbon footprint. For their brand, they're also proudly the first and only diamond producer to make carbon neutral certified diamonds by using renewable energy. And though it seems as if sourcing these natural diamonds are inherently bad, the United States has taken some steps forward in trying to address this, as according to Zamir Kassam, a private jeweler based in Manhattan, the United States now only accepts stones from conflict-free countries. So at least there's some improvement on that end. Now, if you were to ask me, I am in complete favor of lab-grown diamonds. Take it from somebody who used to work at a jewelry company where we also sold lab-grown diamonds. I specifically remember when we first started rolling them out, and there were some critiques over some of my coworkers about the sort of resale value that these pieces would have. But just like a car, I think we should take a look at diamonds, natural or lab grown, as a depreciating asset. As soon as you take that baby home with you, well, it's not going to be worth the same as it was when it was in that store. Take, for example, Lila Ramsey's Vogue article, where she states, since its peak in 2022, the average price per carat for mined diamonds has dropped by roughly 26%, meaning the ring I was proposed to with just 2 years ago, it's now worth considerably less. For the same price, I could have had a bigger diamond and kept a chunk of change. I do feel like this new young generation of women who have the intent to get married might trend towards possibly getting a lab-grown diamond. Jean Doucet, the designer that actually designed that lab-grown diamond for Beyonce, also believes that these lab-grown diamonds are the future of jewelry, as they are able to afford designers much more creativity in bolder and newer designs to reimagine what a diamond piece could look like. For me personally, I don't care too much about the size of the diamond, and I feel like a lot of women do, because there is is a certain bragging aspect of when you see a woman with a really big diamond ring, you can't help but stare. I feel like more oftentimes than not, sometimes bigger isn't always better. And some brides have gone completely off the traditional route and went for other precious stones like sapphires and emeralds. So all I'm saying is simply get what you want and be proud of it. And if you decide to go for a lab-grown diamond ring, then all power to you. Because what are the chances of somebody coming up to you and asking whether or not your diamond is natural or lab-grown? Pretty slim if you ask me. Plus, why even care? And this marks the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for being here. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for your undivided attention. And I will see you guys the next time. Bye, cool cats.